a little bit later than normal. I kind of slept in. I would get up at 4:30 every day for work, and that is...
Oh, that's too early. That's too early.
You ain't kidding. What is up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Breaking Bells. I am Bobby, the Nintendo Guru, joined by the amazing, the wonderful Holly.
Alright, just making sure you say my name.
Well, I'm just, I was waiting for you. I was
Sometimes we just mix it up a little bit, and then I do all this stuff, and then you're just like, oh, it's not you, I'm talking about someone else. I'm like, okay.
But this week we've been joined by Lockleth, and Lock, today is your topic. I'm curious.
Yes.
I'm curious. What do you have for us?
Well, it's mainly for, and I believe you guys have talked about this before, but it's the dream address, and it's because Halloween is one of my favorite holidays. There's people like to take it really hardcore with it, I guess, in a way, or hardcore as you can with Animal Crossing. But I volunteer for a haunted house. This has been my third year doing it, and I get full into character. And I know you probably can't see it, but I'm glad we didn't, record yesterday because my voice was a little bit shot a bit because I was screaming quite a bit in my character. Yes. So it's like all this, I'm very quiet normally, so all this bent energy that I have, I pull out. Exactly. So for that, like I go, very full in, and it's something that it's not a free thing. They do it for fundraising for this. It's called Campfire is what it is. It's like it's like Boy Scouts, but mainly for girls. And they do this fundraiser every year, and it's a haunted house. So I always volunteer to do that. And so I go full in, and so parents are bringing, small children, they pay to, attend these events. And, I go all in, and I'm like, there's kids like crying, but I'm like, you would not, like, first off, why are you bringing your child? First off, why are you bringing your child to a haunted house, like a 7-year-old? Like they're too little. They're too little. And like the only times I'll probably like maybe stop my character is if the parents like chill out a little bit. Yeah. and then I'll like back down a bit. But for the most part, like when I'm in the character, I'm in it. But however, for the flip side, for Animal Crossing, for me, like I wanted to go that route with the blood and the gore in a way, or maybe like cannibalism, like I've seen some of these islands kind of hint at. However, when I was on the podcast Tiny Island Diary, she said, hey, can I share your dream address with my friend's daughter, and she's 7. And at that time, it was just straight cottagecore. I haven't updated my dream address yet with my Halloween aesthetic. So I was like, yeah, of course. But then when I thought about it as I was finishing stuff, I had to kind of step back and like edit a lot of my things. Just to make it more friendly for her, and if any other kids just happen to find my dream address for some odd reason, I wanted it to be family friendly in a way. Like there is nodes from the movie It on my island, so there are red balloon, like his outfit, and certain scenes from that movie that are on my island as well, but none of the gore and none of that. So like if a kid comes across, they're not really gonna know the references. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, you hope anyway.
Yeah. But I think for that, it is interesting how my mind kind of shifted, because it's, for one, it's not something that parents are paying specifically for their kids to see a haunted themed island. It's this is my dream address. That's for anyone. They can go visit if they want, and that way the parents don't have to shelter them from that if something goes wrong. I just don't want that on my conscience, I guess. I think
what, for me personally, I'm not really into horror or things like that, but for me personally, when I think back, so when I first started content creating, I was trying to be a little bit more edgy, a little bit more like some of the people I was watching when I came, that I looked up to, right? And what happened was I was using profanity in all my videos early on, and one day my aunt came to me and she was like, "Hey, just want to let you know, your cousin John watches your videos. He's autistic, but he's older, but autistic children a lot of times have the mentality of younger children, and so I think he's like 25, 26, but when you talk to him, he seems a lot way younger, and that's normal in autistic children." And she said to me, he had made not that she was trying to chastise me or correct me, but she said he made a comment to her that, like, she said, "I thought this was so funny, I want to tell you." And she said, "Man, Bobby curses a lot in his videos. He gets he gets that from Uncle Robert, which is my dad." And so she was laughing because he was poking fun at my dad. He didn't think that I cursed like that I had picked it up from my dad, and my dad was the bad, because he always takes shots at my dad for some reason for cursing. And but immediately it hit me, because she said to me, she said, "Look, I'm not trying to tell you how to do your content at all." Because I was like, "I think I should probably change things." She's like, "Look, I'm not trying to tell you how to do your content." She said, "But you should possibly keep that in mind, that when you're doing childlike content or things that might draw little kids in, you have to be cognizant of what you're doing, And I think that kind of goes to this. Like, if you're doing stuff like this and you want it to be geared towards adults, then number one, we talked about it before, is you have to put warning signs up immediately.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, you can put the warning signs up, set your dream address, and then take all the warning signs down. That's fine. But I think you should put warning signs up that really tell people, like, "Hey man, if you're a kid, you might not want to be here." Now, that's not going to really drive a kid to leave. But if a mother is watching with the kid, the mother might be like, "Hey, let's pump the brakes here." That's number one. And then number two is just like, maybe don't give the dream address to everybody. If you don't want to put the warnings up, don't just splatter it on Twitter and be like, "Hey, come look at my island." Because I think what happens is people think like, "Hey, it's my island, I can do what I want to do." You're right. You're absolutely right. You can do what you want to do. But the thing is like, if you get your island reported, I don't think you have anybody to blame but yourself if you don't take the proper precautions to protect not only yourself, but any little young eyes that might come onto that, might stumble upon that dream address. And you have to be a little... So I do kind of commend what you're doing, and I think it was a very similar situation where it kind of like, you were backed into it. It wasn't something that you were like, "Hey, this is, something happens and it starts to plant a seed, and that seed grows into what it turns into." And I think that's honestly something that I think a lot of us need to think about before we go crazy.
Yeah, and for me it was I didn't even think about the reporting, feature of that. Mine was just, can I, sharing this out there, and yes, there's a lot of adults that play Animal Crossing who will get my references that I have, which that's kind of my gear for the adults in a way, if they've seen the film. But I also wanted I even included like a small mini game. Like, I hid, 12 or 14 pieces of candy throughout my island. So my bulletin board is completely blank, except for it says, "Hey, here's a fun little mini game. See how many, if you can find this many amount of pieces of candy on the island." Just kind of a small little thing I even added that in as kind of a kid friendly thing. But I mean, if I was visiting somebody's island, I'd probably be like, "Yeah, I got to find all of them." So I don't know. It's just a whole adds another layer to it, and kind of made me step back and think about it more.
What about you, Holly?
Yeah. I think especially as we are in the season of Halloween, and it's just natural that creators are now doing spooky videos and doing like haunted island tours. And I just think a few months ago I went to like a spooky island, and there was a lot of like really dark themes on this island. So I think even for an adult audience, like obviously people have trauma, have certain triggers, and there's so many, you know. So it's kind of like, I think on that stream, I was like, guys, I'm going to a horror island. If you're not comfortable with XYZ, then I would recommend that you kind of exit out, because there were just things like, there was like some trash bags, and then there was a custom design that looked like someone, like the bags had been dragged and there was just blood coming out of them, and there was a wheelchair with like blood next to it, and it was just like, even for me, I was like, God, this is really graphic. But I think the thing that we forget when we're older, because we do desensitize to these things, and I think it's only going to get more and more like that, because we're all on social media, we actually forget kind of the main demographic. Although it seems like it's all adults playing this game, it's kind of like, there's a, like, kids don't always have social media. When you're 8 years old, like you know, you don't have that. So I just think it's important to, even if as a creator, if you're going to go to a horror island or something like that and you're going to showcase it, maybe get a friend to go first and just scope it out a little bit, just to see if there's anywhere. I had it on stream where someone very kindly was like always 2 steps ahead of me, and they specifically said, don't go into this room, don't go into that room, you want to avoid this place, because it was just a bit too much. And I think, like, when you play a game that has such a broad audience, it is also your responsibility in a way to make sure that you're kind of putting the right like warnings out there, even though, you know, I remember being, you know, 11 and like watching like spooky horror films on my little portable DVD player. Like, my friend, her dad used to like buy all these like dodgy, like ripped to CD like copies of movies, and I'd like take them home, get my portable DVD player, and I'd watch them. And I remember the first time I saw like violence in, you know, a film, and when I saw lots of blood, and like it could be quite shocking. You know, so I think it's important to just put a disclaimer somewhere.
Because you got to be mindful in a way, especially for you guys as content creators. Because, you know, Animal Crossing, I think everyone can kind of relate to this, that it's kind of your escape. It's that positive light in you. Even if you have nothing else going on and you play Animal Crossing and genuinely enjoy it, it's that positive place and your happy place, and you follow these content creators that play it and have fun playing the game, and so you get really excited about it. But if like Holly said, if you do have past trauma with certain types of, like, if you view certain, you know, scenes, it is good for especially for you guys, but to be mindful of that for those types of people as well, because you don't know who's watching. It's essentially it.
It's true. So thank you guys for watching another episode. Hope you enjoyed it. Every Monday, Wednesday, Holly's channel, Tuesday, Thursday, this week Friday on my channel. That is all. Peace out, Preston.
Bye.